So, what exactly happens to your body if you never sleep again? What would happen to a person who experiences this level of sleep deprivation? This is what happened to a man known only as Thomas. He didn't think much of it when he pulled an all-nighter one night, but after a few days he began seeing imaginary bugs everywhere around him. At first, his friends thought it was pretty funny, but soon they started to get worried. What they were witnessing wasn't normal. It was clear that something terrible had happened to Thomas's brain. He hadn't slept in over 100 hours and was suffering from severe hallucinations. Eventually, his friends convinced him to go to the hospital. Doctors gave him medication to help him sleep, but it wasn't enough. Thomas ended up staying in the hospital for several months before making a full recovery. Now, Thomas's case is extreme. The average person can go about a week without sleeping and still be okay. But experts have yet to determine the exact amount of time a person can go without sleeping before experiencing negative effects. We do know that the longer you go without sleep, the worse the effects tend to be. In fact, there are a lot more side effects than most people realize. Here are some of them. Numbered 1. You won't remember anything. Sleep is vital for the brain. It helps us process everything we experience throughout the day. When we sleep, our brains sort through all the important and unimportant information we encounter. That way, we're better equipped to deal with similar situations in the future. Without sleep, the brain can't do this effectively, which can lead to serious memory problems. Researchers conducted an experiment to learn more about how sleep affects the brain. They found that participants who went without sleep for 36 hours remembered far fewer details compared to those who got a full night's rest. One group was shown pictures of several famous people. A control group was shown pictures of random people. Both groups were then given a test. Those who had been awake for 36 hours struggled to identify the celebrities. Even worse, they also had trouble remembering the random people. This suggests that sleep deprivation makes it harder to form new memories. It also makes it more difficult to distinguish between important and unimportant memories. Number 2, you'll feel like you're drunk. When you pull an all-nighter, your brain runs on caffeine. Eventually, the caffeine wears off and your body becomes severely sleep-deprived. This combination can make you feel like you're drunk. Studies show that sleep deprivation impairs cognitive function. This means that simple tasks like solving puzzles or making decisions can be extremely difficult. You may even find yourself struggling to pay attention. According to a study conducted by the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, sleep deprivation has a similar effect to a blood alcohol level of 0.1%. At this level, a person is considered legally drunk in most states. Now, imagine trying to drive home after a long night out. You're tired, your reflexes are slowed, and you can barely keep your eyes open. Suddenly, you find yourself in an accident. What's to blame? Your fatigue, according to the American Automobile Association. Drowsy driving can be just as dangerous as drunk driving. No. 3. Your motor skills will deteriorate. If you haven't slept in a while, it's best to stay away from the gym. Experts say that sleep deprivation slows reaction times and impairs motor skills, so it's probably not the best idea to lift heavy weights or do intense cardio. According to a study published in the Journal of Sleep Research, sleep deprivation can increase the risk of injury during exercise. Participants who had been awake for 38 hours performed significantly worse on tests of reaction time and hand-eye coordination. Their accuracy on a hand-eye coordination task was 27% lower than participants who got a full night's rest. In another study, researchers measured the reaction times of participants who had been awake for 24, 36, and 48 hours. On average, those who had been awake for 48 hours reacted 233 milliseconds slower than those who had slept for 8 hours. Reaction times as slow as this can be deadly behind the wheel or while operating heavy machinery. Number 4, you'll be weaker. Are you ready to put up your dukes? You'll have to wait until tomorrow. If you're sleep-deprived, you shouldn't throw any punches. Sleep deprivation weakens your immune system. It also causes stress hormones to destabilize your emotions. This can lead to irritability and aggression. Several studies have found that people who get a good night's sleep are less likely to be aggressive. But what happens to the sleep-deprived? When you haven't slept in over 24 hours, your body produces high levels of cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones cause your heart rate and blood pressure to rise. At the same time, other hormones such as testosterone and growth hormone drop. This hormone imbalance makes you more susceptible to illness. Studies show that people who don't get enough sleep are more likely to contract a cold. It also increases the risk of cancer and diabetes. Number 5, you'll see bugs crawling on the wall. Sleep deprivation can cause hallucinations. During the first 24 hours without sleep, you'll feel irritable and struggle to concentrate. But you'll probably still be able to function normally. As the second day passes, you'll become increasingly exhausted. You'll probably start feeling depressed, anxious, and paranoid. Then strange things begin to happen. You might see insects crawling across the floor or hear noises that aren't there. These hallucinations are caused by a lack of sleep. It also causes your brain to produce abnormal levels of certain chemicals. For example, one study found that sleep deprivation increases levels of the stress hormone cortisol. It also decreases levels of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Together, these changes cause hallucinations. No, 6. You could die. People have died from pulling all-nighters. One of the most famous cases was that of Tony Wright. In 1994, he pulled an all-nighter and didn't think much of it. But when he tried to nap the following day, he fell into a coma. He was taken to the hospital where doctors were unable to wake him up. Tony's case was extreme, but it highlights the dangers of sleep deprivation. When you pull an all-nighter, your body produces high levels of stress hormones. Eventually, these hormones reach a critical level, causing your brain to shut down. According to doctors, this is known as fatal familial insomnia. In this condition, the part of the brain responsible for regulating sleep stops functioning properly. As a result, the body is no longer able to sleep. Most people who suffer from this condition die within a year. There are very few documented cases of people surviving beyond this point. Number 7. You'll lose weight. Pulling an all-nighter can cause you to lose appetite. In fact, studies show that sleep deprivation reduces ghrelin levels. This hormone regulates hunger, so low levels can lead to a loss of appetite. It also causes people to eat less. In one study, researchers examined the eating habits of college students. They found that those who got less sleep consumed fewer calories per day. Another study discovered that sleep-deprived individuals were less likely to eat breakfast and more likely to skip lunch. They also tended to snack mindlessly, often without realizing it. Number 8. You'll be unable to speak. You're having a conversation. Suddenly, you stop speaking. You try to respond, but nothing comes out. You can't speak. Sounds bizarre, right? Well, it's a real phenomenon known as sleep deprivation psychosis. When you've been awake for too long, your brain begins to shut down non-essential functions. Speaking becomes one of these non-essential functions. In order to conserve energy, the brain essentially puts your ability to speak on pause. You may still be able to communicate by writing or using sign language, but forming words will be impossible. 9. You'll age faster. Every time you pull an all-nighter, you age faster. Seriously, researchers have found a direct link between sleep deprivation and aging. One of the main reasons for this is that sleep helps repair damaged cells. When you're awake, your body breaks down proteins. This leads to the formation of molecules known as free radicals. Free radicals can damage DNA and cause disease. Fortunately, sleep helps neutralize these molecules. It allows the body to produce antioxidants. Antioxidants protect against the damage caused by free radicals. So, by depriving your body of sleep, you increase the risk of developing diseases such as cancer and diabetes. Number 10. You'll constantly be thirsty. Did you know that sleep deprivation increases thirst? You read that right. Studies show that not getting enough sleep increases the sensation of thirst. As a result, you'll probably drink more fluids. This might seem harmless, but it can lead to a serious medical condition called hyponatremia. Hyponatremia occurs when there's too much water in the body. This can cause sodium levels to drop below 135 milliequivalents per liter. At this point, the kidneys can no longer regulate fluid balance, leading to swelling in the brain. Symptoms of hyponatremia include headaches, confusion, and seizures. If left untreated, it can lead to coma or death. Number 11. You'll develop a tolerance for caffeine. Do you drink coffee every morning? How about tea or soda? These beverages contain caffeine, a stimulant that gives you energy. When you consume caffeine, your body reacts by producing adenosine. Adenosine makes you feel sleepy, so caffeine binds to it, preventing it from taking effect. However, this doesn't mean that caffeine is healthy. In fact, drinking too much can have negative effects, especially if you're already sleep-deprived. A recent study found that consuming caffeine increases anxiety levels in people who don't get enough sleep. This may be why coffee drinkers often feel jittery or nervous when they haven't slept in a while. Number 12. Your skin will deteriorate. Ever wondered why sleep is so important? It helps you grow and repair tissues, including skin. When you don't get enough sleep, your body can't carry out these essential functions. This leads to the formation of dark eye circles under the eyes. It also makes you more likely to develop wrinkles. The good news is that these effects are temporary. Once you get enough sleep, your skin should return to normal. 13. You'll be more likely to have a stroke. Sleep deprivation can increase the risk of stroke. In fact, studies show that people who don't get enough sleep are twice as likely to have a stroke. This may be due to the fact that sleep helps regulate blood pressure. When you're sleep-deprived, your blood pressure rises. Over time, this can damage blood vessels and lead to stroke. Number 14. Your stress levels will skyrocket. Not getting enough sleep can significantly increase stress levels. This is because sleep deprivation activates the fight-or-flight response. As a result, your body produces high levels of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. This can lead to feelings of anxiety and paranoia. In some cases, it can even trigger a panic attack. 15. You'll develop heart problems. If you've been pulling all-nighters for weeks or months, you may be putting yourself at risk for heart problems. A recent study found that sleep deprivation increases the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. This may be due to the fact that sleep helps regulate blood pressure and heart rate. When you're sleep-deprived, these essential functions are thrown off balance, leading to increased risk of heart disease. All right, folks, now it's time to hear from you. How long can you go without sleeping? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like and share this video if you think someone else might enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you learned something new. Stay curious.